Stay tuned and let's take a look at the Marvel Legends Wolverine and Silver Samurai 2-pack. Pow, and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. And remember now you can hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today we continue looking at the Marvel Legends Gamerverse 2-packs, and this time round we have Wolverine versus Silver Samurai, which is a pairing that makes a lot more sense as these guys are actually enemies in the comics as well. But of course, this whole autumn program is a tribute to the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 game that came out in the early 2000s, but for some reason Hasbro couldn't use the Marvel vs. Capcom branding, so instead they're using their generic Gamerverse tag. But we all know exactly what these 2-packs represent, and they're doing a pretty good job at that as well. Definitely some conversations online about this Wolverine. Single jointed elbows, how much range is there? Is he bigger than the other ones? We will find out in today's video. And of course, Silver Samurai is definitely more of an upgrade than we initially assumed as well. He looks really good in the packaging. So there we get the verses front and center, Gamerverse logo up top. We get some pixelated versions of each character on the side, and on the back of the box we get a little verses setup as well from the game, as well as a write-up that says the mutant Wolverine unleashes his adamantium claws against the martial arts master and foe to the X-Men, Silver Samurai. So let's not waste any time and get them open. So here we have both Wolverine and Silver Samurai out of the packaging, all the accessories laid out, and they both come with a couple of effect pieces. Wolverine comes with a set of fisted hands, Silver Samurai also comes with a sword, but they both come with a stand for their unique effect pieces, which are taken directly from the game. Now, I'll show you a closer look at these shortly, but these are really nice, and you'll be able to get these guys in some great versus poses if that's something you're interested in. But people are more interested to check out this Wolverine. So, of course, we'll do a full comparison with Silver Samurai and his previous version and the differences. As I said, there's more than you expect, but I think everybody is eager to check out this Wolverine and see how he compares to some previous versions. So let's get everybody out the way. Let me get the tape measure out first and foremost before we bring anybody else in. There we go. Up to the top of his cowl, you're looking at about 6.5 inches or just over to the tips of his cowl. But his cowl are very long. So let's compare him straight away out the gate here to some previous versions. Here we have our Marvel Legends Tiger Stripe Wolverine comparison. We've got your first appearance, Love Triangle, X-Men 97, and then the VHS version, as they're all on the brighter yellow. I do have the Apocalypse Wave version we got way back in the day, but here's definitely more orange. So we'll do lots more Wolverine comparisons later in the video, but let's just start off with this one to answer that initial question. Is he bigger? Yes. It's simple as that. He is a bigger Wolverine, but that's not necessarily a bad thing at all, as he is still proportionately a decent scale compared to other Marvel Legends. And I'll do plenty of comparisons, don't worry. But compared to these Wolverines, yes, he is stockier in proportions, and he is also taller by maybe a centimetre or so to the top of the head. His cowl is much longer in comparison to other Wolverines, which is definitely giving him a sort of longer appearance. But still, he is really nice looking. Let's turn him to the side. You don't make friends with salad. You don't make friends with salad. Here we have our Tiger Stripe Wolverine Conga for a comparison once again. And as you can see, the new Wolverine is clearly taller in size and proportion. But it's not a bad thing, I promise. We need to take a closer look, don't we? So let me move all of these out of the way. We'll come back and compare articulation shortly. But first, let's take a closer look at this guy. So let's zoom in on that face sculpt, but the cowl is so bloody big, I'm going to cut it off as soon as I zoom in, but I'm going to do it anyway. There we go. So yeah, we got a nice growling, a gritted teeth, angry Wolverine expression. This is the only head sculpt we get in the box, but it is a battle 2-pack, so it makes sense for him to be battle ready. But yeah, that cowl is definitely bigger than anything we have dealt with before for our Wolverines. Look at it. It is massively exaggerated, but it does cut a very mean silhouette. Some people will really, really like how big that cowl is on the head. But otherwise, it is the whited out eyes with the gritted teeth, and it is on the disc and hinge as well. So you can bury the chin, or you can get him looking really high, like really high up. So you can get him into some leaping poses for sure. Again, it's a shame when characters that can't fly can get into better flying poses than characters that can. But that's what the disc and hinge can do sometimes when you've got the right range. But otherwise, really nice looking head sculpt for Wolverine. Now, I believe this Wolverine is brand new from head all the way to toe. So let's check out the costume design and all of this new articulation. First and foremost, it is a classic Tiger Stripe Wolverine, a very nice popping bright yellow with the black, and then you've got the red bout with the X logo, which is a separate plastic piece at the waist, and then you've got the blue trunks, gloves, shoulder pads, and then the nice blue and black boots, which mimic what his cowl design is. So you've got the long boots, and then you've got the long cowl. So some nice symmetry there with the cowl and the boots. Honestly, it's a really nice looking Wolverine. So let's check out this articulation, shall we? So let's look at the shoulder first and foremost. The shoulder pad is separate. That will spin all the way around as it's attached at the shoulder. And if I lift it up a minute, it does give you a better look at the butterfly joints that are hidden behind the shoulder pad. So the shoulder pads actually hide the butterfly joints that have an okay range. Not crazy. I do think the range for the shoulder pads or the butterfly is better on the previous Wolverines, but there's something there at least. You've got the thick biceps. So there's a swivel at the top of the biceps. The arms will go virtually past 90, like zero complaints on that. But now let's check out this elbow. We have a single jointed elbow. Now I know there's probably people screaming, oh no, but that doesn't necessarily mean less articulation. I understand, are you the same? For double joints mean more articulation. But Hasbro have spoken about this. Dwight has said this was an aesthetic choice because they feel it looks good and also gives you just as much range as the double jointed elbow. So it's a nice thick bicep and it does look clean. Like, I can't challenge that. It does look clean. You've got the painted lines on to sort of represent his hairy arms. But let's bring in another Wolverine, shall we? There we go. Now you tell me what looks better. Now, I do think the double joint allows you for a little bit further, like a tiny bit further, but it's not crazy. It's so similar. Like, actually, they're so similar. I can't figure it out, and these are both in front of me. So I sort of agree. I think the range is very similar on the double joint to the single joint, because let's be honest, Wolverine's always had these thick biceps, which never really let you utilize the double joint as you should. So, yeah, I think here what they've done looks really nice and still gives you just as much range as a previous Wolverine. But again, that's just my opinion. You can formulate your own when you get it in hand, but it does look very nice. I also like the claws. The claws are brand new. They're very thick. They've got a bit of curvature to them as well. They're not going to warp. They're not going to tangle. They're going to hold their shape. And yeah, they look really good. Really nice, long, curvy claws. No complaints on that. The arms, again, look clean. They look good. Looking at the waist, you've got the double ball joint, which we've been asking for. I hope we see this a lot more on our Marvel Legends. So you get some back and forth on the top rocker, you get some tilt, but then you utilize it all together. You get back, let me zoom out a tiny bit, and then you get forward. Like, look at that crunch for a Wolverine, like a really good crunch, utilizing the chest and the waist. And again, swivel at both areas there as well. And the bout, because it sits up a little bit higher, hides any of the gap there as well. So yeah, so much range on the chest and waist for this Wolverine, like really good. So yeah, look at that, look at that, look at that, ridiculous. He can get himself into a cannonball. Wolverine's range, really good there. Yeah, some great jumping, leaping poses, no complaints. The legs go really far up. Look at that, past 90, because there's some nice sort of room there at the thigh. There's also a thigh cut, of course. And then look how clean these double jointed knees are. Look at this. Just straight away, whoop, kick his own butt. Very clean, double jointed knees, ankle pivot and rocker. Is there a swivel at the boot? No boot swivel. But again, you've got the swivel at the top of the thigh. And again, so much movement on these legs. Look at that, really good. Can he do the splits? Yes, he can. Wow, virtually, look at that. Wolverine, really nice range there. People are going to be impressed with this. I genuinely think if you can get over the fact that he hasn't got a double jointed elbow and you can sort of see that he still has a nice range, this is our new gold standard Wolverine. Let's have another quick look at the claws on the hand. I just wanted to show you that you can still get into like his sort of trademark cross-clawed pose, no problem at all. So yeah, a nice set of claws. But we also get a pair of fisted hands as well. Let's quickly switch to the black for this last effect piece for Wolverine, which is this slashing effect that you actually get in the Capcom game. You even get a little translucent stand with a bit of articulation on to plug it into. So that's got 2 points of articulation on there as well, which will help. The stand attaches on to the claws in either of them because they both come with a little port to them. But this comes apart and creates 2 slashes. So you get 2 white translucent slashes that have a little bit of a blue tint in them as well. Now, one of them you will notice has pegs, and that is to allow you to plug them in to each other, just into the gaps. It is as simple as that. You can plug them in at any level if you wanted to, like plug them further up if you wanted to for some reason. But obviously central is its intention to create the Wolverine slash, and actually clips into place nicely. And then on the back, you got 2 places to port in the effect piece, like so. And now you can just display that with your Wolverine posing with the slash, or however you want to do it. Honestly, it's just a nice little tribute to the game, or something you can just use in your greater display as a giant slashing Wolverine effect. I like that they included the stand, but yeah, there you go. That's what it is. Now, before we move on from Wolverine, I just wanted to conduct a little experiment. So here we have a couple of random X-Men on the table. We've got Beast, and then the X-Men 97, Cyclops, and Rogue. Let's bring in the X-Men 97 Wolverine. This is our current standard of Wolverine within the Marvel Legends collection. You'd argue he's shorter, as he should be, and he scales pretty well with the X-Men. Well, let's switch him out with our new one and see if it is the same. You tell me. He is definitely taller, but the cowl does give him that extra height, and he's also bulkier. Now, I don't think anybody's going to be posing their Wolverine standing up straight like that. Everyone's going to have him crouching down in more of a fighting pose, but he sort of still fits, at least in my mind. Maybe might be a little bit too big for some people. There we have the old one back in the mix. So, yeah, you're going to have to make up your own mind. It's definitely bigger, but is it a deal breaker for some? I don't know. Here we have a few more Wolverines. You've got Brood, Astonishing X-Men, the X-Factor version, and X-Force. Here we have the Samurai, Logan from the 2-pack with Sabretooth, the Beaten Up Wolverine, which was an Amazon 5-pack, and then the recent Fantastic Four Wolverine. Wolverine has to be one of the most made Marvel characters in the Marvel Legends line. This is just a handful of them. I can't even fit them all on my table. There is still more, but is this Wolverine the best version of at least the Tiger Stripe era? It may just be. Quick detour to the collection room, just because it's the easiest way to show you this Wolverine integrated in to a regular Marvel Legends comic X-Men display. So you tell me, how does he look? I've got him crouched forward, facing forward. The articulation allows you to get him into a nice iconic pose. And I still think he can work in a comic display. But he is bigger. But remember, the source material for this Wolverine is from the Capcom game, where he is a chunkier Wolverine. So it's actually a very accurate Marvel Legend based off the source material it's trying to recreate. It's just people wanting to put him with your comic figures. That's going to be personal preference. I still think he can work. But is he bigger? Yes. But it still absolutely works. And I promise I will do an updated collection video one day. But I thought this was the easiest way to show you Wolverine. You let me know in the comments below, how does he look integrated into a comic display? And let's not forget, Wolverine comes packed with Silver Samurai. I apologise, I was taking far too long on Wolverine. So here's a reminder of what he comes with. Some effect pieces from the game and a sword. No interchangeable head, no interchangeable hands. Let's bring in the previous Silver Samurai to see the comparison, because there are more differences than we initially thought here. Now, firstly, the colour's different. The new one is darker in tone, more of a gunmetal grey rather than the bright silvery chrome over here. And also, this one has a new torso that makes him a little bit taller. Also, all of the additional pieces of armor and the head are new. So again, there are a lot more differences between the two. Let me get the tape measure out so we can see here that the new Silver Samurai is probably bang on 7 inches to the top of his helmet, where the previous one just a tiny bit shorter. I'm talking a tiny bit, as the new torso has those new sculpted elements for the actual star. So yeah, there's your differences initially, but let's take a closer look. The new head sculpt for me has a lot more character. Again, gritted teeth expression to match the the energy of Wolverine, whited out eyes again, and his helmet is a little bit wider as well. If I spin it around, you can see it flares out a little bit more, and it's definitely a different sculpt to the previous version. So there's a look at the helmet all the way around, and while I keep it there, I'll bring in the other one. You can see how it had all the dottiness of like the actual armor of the previous one. But yeah, there's a quick look at the two head sculpts. I'll throw up a side by side so you can see for yourself the difference in head sculpts. The previous one just had a sort of neutral expression, so I prefer the angry expression for a villain. Also, the previous one, eyes were a little bit darker, and the helmet was a little bit smaller as well. So yeah, the new one has a lot more character. I always appreciate when a costume design can hide the cuts of articulation, and I think this red star here on the torso does that very well, as you get a ball joint up here. So this is where you're going to get your tilt, this is where you're going to get your swivel, and a decent range going back and forward as well for your Silver Samurai. Also, the shoulder pads now are a lot more exaggerated and stylized compared to the previous version that had a bit more of an armor plating sort of design. And what's good here is that these are just plugged in here at the top of the shoulder, so they will not hinder any of the arm articulation. You can literally take these off if you want and create a whole new look for a more stocky looking Silver Samurai on the display. So yeah, just two holes here at the top of the shoulders to plug in the new armor pieces, no problem at all. Unfortunately, under the armor though is the regular pinned arms, just like the previous version. So you do have the sort of sleeves that make the double jointed a little bit limited, but you still got a decent enough range there to get him holding a sword at least. Again, the armor is more exaggerated and stylized with the skirt piece down here. Again, the previous one had the armor plating. It also had a bit more design on the belt. It also had the sleeve for the two swords. You could actually attach two swords to the belt on this Silver Samurai. This Silver Samurai has no storage for his sword at his belt, but again, not a problem, as mine will be holding his sword. And again, underneath the armor are just the same old pinned legs with the sort of cloth design. So the double jointed articulation is a little bit limited. You do have a swivel at the boot, ankle pivot and rocker. So they're not the best body for crazy articulation, but I do like the subtle improvements they've made to the upper torso, and I much prefer the more exaggerated, stylized armor. Definitely matches what you see in the game as well, but yeah, definitely different to the previous one in that regard too. So we may not have no weapon storage, but you still get a sword. This one is a little bit more gimmicky, as it's more of a laser sword, if you will, as it is made of a blue translucent plastic rather than a traditional sword. And remember, there is no storage at the belt like the other one, but if you do have any of the previous swords, you can literally just nick one from the previous Silver Samurai and you can give him a more traditional sword if you're planning to put this guy in a regular comic display. So yeah, mine's a little bit warped, but still, you can make it work. You also have this additional effect piece, which is made in a translucent blue and dark blue, and I've just wrapped it around the sword, and I think that's the reason the sword is blue, so you can combine this to create like an energy effect. I don't really particularly remember it from the game very well, but it does look interesting on display, that's for sure. So yeah, that's a new piece that we've not seen, and yeah, you can just use it as a sword effect when he's battling. Again, it's not the most articulated body for some of the poses you can get in the game, but still, it's something interesting to look at. His other effect is definitely something I remember from the game. It's like that shuriken that he can throw across the screen. He literally throws these at the enemy from the other side of the screen. So this is a nice translucent orange piece of plastic. It has a plug for the new stand that comes with it, and then you can pose it with your Silver Samurai and throw it at the enemies, and it would spin and attack the enemies. So yeah, he literally throws these from across the screen to keep his safe distance. So yeah, some nice gimmicks from the game, or just some generic effects you can throw into a display. And there you go, there's a quick look at using those effect pieces on a display, launching them, attacking Wolverine, who I've got in a very nice crouching pose that mimics what you see on the game. If you've seen my little display clip, then yeah, that's how I posed him up. But yeah, honestly, it's a really, really nice set. Moving into some comparisons for Silver Samurai, here we have a couple of X-Men villains who are also a part of this autumn lineup. These are the older versions, of course. So we have Omega Red, and then we have the Juggernaut Build-A-Figure, who's getting a massive upgrade in this Gamerverse lineup, which I can't wait to get. So yeah, here's some villains all from the game. So let's bring Wolverine back in and just go through a ton of different comparisons so people can see. So here we have the Max Maximum Series Spider-Man and the Maximum Hulk. For a couple of generic Marvel Legend body types, I've put the Vulcan body next to Wolverine and then the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man next to Silver Samurai. And you can see the Vulcan body is definitely taller than the new Wolverine, but his cowl does sort of make it level in a way. Here we have the Capcom inspired Cable and the brand new She-Hulk. Since it is Silver Samurai, I've brought in the ninja version of Wolverine, and then we also have Lady Mandarin. And then one more time, here we have the previous version of Silver Samurai and then the X-Men 97 Wolverine, because at least for me, I felt that was the best version of the Tiger Stripe we had in the Marvel Legends line, just so you can see this Capcom inspired Gamerverse glow up with this 2-pack. So yeah, both of these are an upgrade in my eyes, but people are going to have to make their own decision about the scale. I'm trying to think of more comparisons you might want to see. So here we have the original Love Triangle and literally the Love Triangle, Cyclops and Jean Grey. I'm sure there's somebody out there curious of this. Here we have the CT Toys brown suit Wolverine next to our new Wolverine. And remember, that is very similar to the Mafex. So yes, this Marvel Legend, definitely bigger, thicker. Now, I'm definitely not going to do 1,000 Wolverine head swaps, but I did want to quickly see if the X-Men 97 unmasked head fits on this body, and I've also put the sort of down cowl on there as well, and that gives you a sense of like how much thicker this body is, as the head does look a little bit smaller on this body type, but it will plug on to the ball peg, so you can also put the new Wolverine head on the old bodies as well with that exaggerated cowl. And again, look how crazy long it looks on a regular Wolverine body. So yes, there is going to be some head swapping potential with your Wolverine. For example, here we have the regular cowl from the 97 Wolverine on this new Gamerverse body. If you didn't want the exaggerated cowl, the yellows match up pretty well. Like, you can't tell the difference there at all. Here we have the Screaming Logan head that came on the Ultimate Wolverine we got recently. And again, these heads will pop on this body. So if you want to do some head swapping, there is lots of potential. I can't do them all in this video, but if you leave a comment, maybe I'll make another short like I did for Savage Land Rogue. Another fun swap to try, I thought, would be the Bone Claws, because in the Capcom game, you can actually select Wolverine with the Bone Claws and not the Adamantium Claws. So the only way to get Bone Claws in the Marvel Legends line is on the Love Triangle Wolverine. And I've actually plugged them in to this Wolverine, no problem at all. They do port into the hand, but the problem is the glove is a darker blue than the Wolverine we get here. So if I zoom in, you can see the darker blue glove for the Bone Claws, and if I bring in the other Adamantium Claw, you can see the scale difference as well. So the Bone Claws will plug in, but the glove is a darker blue for the Bone Claws. But again, maybe you can make it work in some pictures. And you think Wolverine's big? Wait until you meet Dragon Man. He makes every Marvel Legend look small. And talking of small, here we have Puck, just for a bit of scale comparison. We've got the smallest and the biggest. I've been rambling for far too long. Let's take this home with the Who crew. We have Frogman and Tigra. And last but never least, here we have Captain Britain and Hell Fire Hank. Poor Hank. I think his saxophone's still broke. He needs to find something else to do, don't you think? Anyway, final thoughts on this Marvel Legends. Don't Say Capcom Gamerverse 2-pack with Wolverine and Silver Samurai. Another solid offering from this autumn program. Another fun versus 2-pack to add to our collection, whether you're a fan of these characters from the comics or you're nostalgic about the Capcom game. I, for one, think this is a very good set. The Silver Samurai, yes, it's not perfect, but the upgraded elements do make it an improvement, at least aesthetically, with the exaggerated design. And also, Wolverine is going to start a lot of conversations within the community. He already has, as it is brand new from top to bottom, so the scale is a little bit bigger than we're used to seeing with our Wolverines. But let's be honest, people, this is a good thing. We are 20 years in with Marvel Legends, and we have got about 20 Wolverines on that old body mold. So let Hasbro try something a little bit different under this Gamerverse umbrella, as in the game he was a little bit stockier, and then it just gives you as the collector an option to use this in your comic display or not. Remember, everyone's collections and setups are differently, so he's going to fit into some people's collections better than he would others. But looking at it subjectively as a standalone Wolverine, it quite possibly could be the best Tiger Stripe Wolverine we have in Marvel Legends. I think it is. But the bigger question is, how does it fit into your collection? The scale is bigger, but I still think it works as well. Again, each to their own. This is going to be a fun one to talk about, I am sure. You let me know what you think in the comments below. Whether you think it's too big or not, you cannot deny it is not a solid looking tiger stripe Wolverine. There's also some head swapping potential, as you have seen. But as always, if you like Marvel Legends, you are absolutely in the right place. Check out the videos tab, find the playlists, but most importantly, please, 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 hit that subscribe button, hit all in the notification bell, don't miss out on a video, and please hit that join button, become a channel member, either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Shout out to Tom, aka Mini Plastic Multiverse, for lending me this set for a review. I will put his Instagram in the description below. Trust me, you're going to want to check out those pictures, some solid figure photography. You can follow me on Instagram for some less interesting pictures at It's Dan Who. I'm also on X at Dan Who Reviews, and I will of course see you on the next one.